every single one of these men, they might not have been heroes in the sense of they won a medal, but what they did was just heroic in and of itself. My name's Cole Nolan. I'm a local historian from Garden River First Nation here in Northern Ontario, and I focus on Indigenous soldiers from the First World War. At the beginning of the First World War, it was actually officially mandated by the Canadian government that no First Nations, no Indians would be recruited. Nearly 4,000 Canadian First Nations men joined the armed forces between 1914 and 1918 during the First World War. First Nations men didn't have to join. They weren't compulsed in any way to do so. Like, there was no conscription for First Nation soldiers. It's incredible. It's incredible to think about. These guys, they enlisted in an army to fight for a country that didn't want them to exist at that point in time. And just the fact that, they had to overcome all these obstacles to do that. The residential school factor can't be ignored. Even in their daily life on the reservation, like, everything that they did in their entire life was completely micromanaged, either by residential schools or by the Indian agent. The fact that these boys were able to overcome whatever childhood traumas that might have been dragging them down due to residential school, it's almost like getting into the army suddenly was a dose of freedom that they never had before. I know it's insane to say that life in the army in wartime was exponentially better than being back at home on the reserve, but it kind of was true. On the other hand, when they come home, after fighting for Canada, after living life on an equal footing with their white comrades overseas, the fact that these guys had to come home and still had their children taken away from them to go to residential school, that's a real absolute tragedy. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a crime. They weren't all looking to do something heroic, but the fact that they did that was pretty impressive.